Welcome to Malcom Reed's How to Barbecue Right, a podcast where we talk about barbecue, share recipes, and discuss all things delicious. And now, here's your host, Malcom and Rochelle Reed.
Hey, welcome back to the How to Barbecue Right podcast. Talking turkeys today, I think. Is that right? How you doing, Shell?
Good.
Feeling good?
How are you doing,
I'm
Mel?
doing fantastic.
Ready to talk some turkeys?
As soon as I'm through with this podcast, my week is wrapped. I've been counting this down. It's open rifle season here in Mississippi.
Taking a little vacation next week.
Yeah, gonna take it easy next week or somewhat. And Turkey Day. I used to say it was one of my favorite holidays. I think I've changed my mind.
Why?
I'm sick of freaking turkeys, man. You ever cook so many turkeys you just get tired of turkey? I'm about to that point.
We started cooking turkeys in like mid-October.
Yeah. Like when we had to track down and everybody was worried about a turkey shortage. I've got a theory on that too. There is no turkey. That was a ploy to get people to just go to buy turkeys because the supermarkets I've been to they plenty of them in Mississippi.
They did that last year. They did a whole big thing. And
that's marketing.
Yeah. And they said there was going to be a shortage of ham. So we actually did a pork loin recipe last year for Christmas.
That's right.
Plenty of ham.
Plenty of hams. Plenty of hams this year. There's plenty of everything. Have you noticed, like, I know we had COVID. There were some shortages at times and people were buying stuff, stupid stuff and hoarding it and all that. But this year, it seems like everything's fully stocked. I hadn't seen, now prices are higher, but that's just, thank you politicians for that. But, hey, it is what it is.
But turkeys are there.
The turkeys are abundant. There's no turkey I haven't seen a turkey shortage.
It is time to start thinking about pulling those turkeys out.
Better, yeah. If you're cooking a big one, it needs to be out today.
Yeah.
I'm going to be steadily releasing that graphic to remind y'all.
Yeah. When I say a big one, I guess that's the 18 to 20 pounders you want to
20 to 24 is what our little graphic says.
Get those out. Get those out today.
Give me a run through it again?
Yeah, let's run through that graphic. You asked me to look at it, and I said, this is exactly what I would do.
You move them to the fridge. Anything that's 20 to 24 pounds needs to go to the fridge today. 7
days before you're cooking it.
Really? It said we have 16 to 20 pounds needs to go today.
I was going to say, I'd if it's over, 16 pounds, I'd get it in there today because they're still going to brine those for 2 days.
And if you are doing 12 to 16 Saturday, 8 to 12 is Sunday.
That's right.
So this weekend,
you're getting them out. You're getting them out. You better be planning.
What happens if you forget? Have you ever?
Oh, yeah. I forgot a bunch. And I get it in water, and I change the water out, and it takes about, 4 or 5 hours. Just if you got one of those big, a meat bag and a bucket or a brine,
So you're constantly
cooler.
Changing the water up?
Yeah, because, you want to, it's got to stay cool, but you don't want it cold, and the turkey's chilling the water too. And so you constantly want to, be, if you're doing it like in a sink, the way people used to do is leave it slowly dripping and letting it drain and spill over the bowl and kind of get fresh water in it. But usually what I would do is just change that water out. So that means dump it out, fill it back up, let it keep rocking, check on it, and it should be there in 4 to 6 hours thawed. Now, dude, I did not tell you to do this. I did not tell anybody to do this. This is not recommended. This is just if
Why
the
is
crap
it not
hits the fan.
Why is it not recommended?
I guess because of the food safety. You're thawing out the outer part. It might be a different temperature before the inner core gets cool. It's better to slow thaw because you don't do as much damage to the meat, letting it slow thaw, they say. It retains a little more moisture. But it's a froze turkey that they've just wadded up into a big giant ball of froze. So you got to get it thawed somehow. The best way is in the refrigerator, controlled environment, slow.
Yeah. And it's easiest way.
I've had to put them in a bathtub with hot water before. There's been a lot of things that have gone wrong. One time, we had probably 20 turkeys in a bathtub trying to thaw. So there's you do what you got to do.
I don't want to talk about the time we cooked. How many? 180 turkeys?
It was a bunch.
Oh my gosh.
It was a bunch. It was way more turkeys than I ever wanted to cook.
We had no business cooking a bunch of turkeys for everybody.
Yeah. I know I'm not cooking any more whole turkeys. Kevin hooked me up with some of those. See, once again, I didn't know if how many of those we were going to be able to get. So,
what?
The big giant turkey breasts, the ones that he sends that are like Texas style breast. I think they come from Florida. But to me, they're Texas turkey breast because everything's big in Texas. I ain't never seen any turkeys that big. But they are the best.
They cook them in Texas like that.
Yeah, that's why they cook them in Texas restaurants. So that's really why I call it Texas turkey breast.
But it is
But it's a boneless, skin-on, giant turkey breast. And there's 2 of them in the pack when they come. You get a left and right. So they're awesome. And that's what I'm cooking for Thanksgiving.
I guess Mark cooked some last night. He brought the leftovers up here. That was really good.
He cooked a prime beef turkey breast. He said he just put it on prime beef, nothing else, no brine, no injection. So it took like 2 hours.
What did he cook it on? Did he ask?
The pellet grill.
Okay.
Silverback. And the turkey was so good.
It was really good. I just had it cold out of a bag. So you're not completely sick of turkey?
I didn't say I was sick of eating it. Because it's not near as good when you have to cook it and eat it.
Yeah.
Somebody else cooks it for you, that's a different story.
So this week you did, or actually we filmed it last week, you did a mesquite smoked turkey.
I sure did. And that was one, I did that one because, one, I think we've been eating a lot of like deli mesquite turkey. That's the one we buy at Kroger, and it goes great in a wrap. It's, not as bad for you as bologna, I guess.
It's still probably
but
pumped full of stuff.
So I get questions about cooking with mesquite wood, and I don't do it very often. It's a strong, bitter, unforgiving wood.
That's a good way to put it, unforgiving.
But it is real common, and you see it on certain foods, and turkey is one of them that I think goes really well with mesquite flavor. So the trick is, and this is what I wanted to kind of show in the video, is like even though I'm using mesquite wood, I'm not really I'm not using that as a fuel. I'm not using mesquite wood as the fuel source. It is strictly flavor, and I use it in small doses. So with this one, I cooked it on the Outlaw stick burner. Wanted to kind of keep that, Texas traditional kind of way of doing things. Stick burner, side firebox, good heat flowing through, going out the exhaust stack. That's a stick burner. And so for fuel, I started with just lump charcoal to get me a bed going. And then I started burning splits of this little post oak splits I had that Outlaw patio bottle just takes like a little 11-inch split, and it runs for about an hour on one once you get your coal bed. So what I did with the mesquite was I used chunks of it, and I would just put like 2 chunks of mesquite on.
When you say a chunk, like
fist size.
Okay.
I mean, big fist.
Yeah. But a decent sized chunk.
Decent sized chunk.
Could you use chips?
They would burn up.
They burn up too fast.
Yeah, I don't think you can soak chips and add a little bit, but I'm not a fan of using chips. But the chunks do great. And you're not having you don't have a big stick of mesquite in there that you might risk over smoking something with. So I wanted to just put a couple chunks on at a time, let that burn up, make my adjustments if I want to back off. I don't have to put any more on it, but I usually do, I think I cook with about 5 or 6 chunks total, that whole cook. I put like 2 or 3 on the start, and I added 2 or 3 more about an hour later. So what I did was this bird, I did spatchcock. It was about, I think it was 12.5-pound turkey. Thawed it in the refrigerator, let it slow thaw. I brined it for 24 hours in a sweet tea brine. And did we talk about that? I don't think we did.
Not yet.
But anyway, so a sweet tea brine, it's been around a long time.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I've heard about it for years.
So people just use sweet tea?
Well,
brine, or will they use sweet tea?
No, they see sweet tea and other stuff.
Yeah.
But your water element is the tea.
Yeah.
And so it gives it, since it's used as sweet tea, you kind of get that sugar element in a brine mainly is sugar and salt. And so you get that sweet element from the tea. Now I still used a bottle of my bird brine, added some fresh lemons in there, but you could add other stuff, whatever you wanted to add.
Yeah.
But the tea is your liquid. And so does it make it taste like tea? No, you don't really. You don't get any of that. Now it does make it a little dark looking.
It starts tinting.
Yeah,
the
and
meat.
tea, if you put a T-shirt in tea, it's going to stain it like that. So it does stain it out a little bit on the outside.
But I like that about it.
It made it look pretty, really.
Yeah.
So it kind of had that color to it, to where it just didn't look like a plain old turkey.
Do you think the caffeine in tea would do anything to the meat Does caffeine affect meat in that kind of way?
That's a good question. I don't know. I've never thought about the caffeine effect in a brine of having that in there. I don't know. That's a good question.
Especially because turkey normally makes you tired, so it'd be like
maybe that's it. Maybe this is wake them up turkey. This is keep you up.
We're fighting off the tryptophan.
Yeah, we're canceling out that sleepy effect, so you don't have to drink that Red Bull when you get through eating.
Next step, we're gonna brine and Mountain Dew.
Well, I mean, the tea's the better because it doesn't have the acid that like soda would. So if you use Coke or Dr. Pepper or root beer, like some of these people use, it's not going to affect the meat as bad because the acid starts breaking that down, I think, in it. So, but the tea gives it a nice mild flavor. You can't really tell I don't think you could tell, you use tea instead of water.
Not at the end.
But only when you pull it out and you see it, you could. So, but you can definitely pick it up from the sugar. Like if you used unsweetened tea, you're not going to get any.
Yeah, you just get the browning effect out of the tint. Yeah.
But I would use sweet tea.
So you brined it 24 hours, pulled it out,
let it dry on a rack for about 2 hours in the refrigerator. At this point, it hadn't been spatchcocked. So since I wanted to cook it that way, so that was the first thing I did in the video. Flipped it over, take some kitchen shears, cut down one side of the backbone, cut down the other side, remove that, take a knife and to kind of crack that, just slice right into the breastbone. You don't want to go all the way through the breast. You're just trying to break that bone where the wishbone is up at the front. That lets it kind of fold out a little, and that's what helps it when you push it down, it lays flat.
It's not that hard to spatchcock.
Oh, no, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's real easy. If you want practice on it, practice on chickens. Get you some chickens or some little Cornish hens and cut them out. I mean, the bones are bigger than turkey, so you need now I have broke just a cheap pair of kitchen shears before, so you need to get some good ones. But you can do it with a knife too.
That's a good Christmas gift, stocking stuffer.
Heck yeah, some heavy duty
poultry shears.
Yep, they come in handy, especially for any time you're cutting the backbone out of something.
Yeah.
I don't know where spatchcock came from.
Where the word
where the word came from.
It's hard to spell sometimes.
I
get a lot of autocorrects there.
You have trouble with the word spatch, huh?
So then you
set yourself up for that one.
So then you seasoned.
Then I seasoned it up. So to get the skin nice and bright, I tucked one thing I always tuck the wingtips back behind where his neck was.
I like that too.
So it kind of looks like he's laying there.
Yeah.
And it props it up a little bit on the breast when you put them back there.
It looks happy.
Yeah, it looks happy. He's getting a suntan is what I say. Looks like you're laying on the beach, ready to just get all brown and nice and juicy.
I do think the spatchcocking, when you cook the bird like whole, don't spatchcock it. It's splotchy.
Yeah.
On the sides and stuff because of the rubs and the way it cooks and everything like that. But the spatchcocking,
to fix that.
We'll talk about that later. So you spatchcocked. You laid them out.
Then I brushed it with a little peanut oil.
Why peanut oil?
So I like to use. I mean, you want to use a fat. That's why I want to get all the moisture off the turkey you can, and then you want to put an oil on the skin. It could be any kind of fat. It could be melted butter. It could be vegetable, canola, cooking spray. Y'all seen me do it all. Well, this one, I was kind of thinking, I don't know why I thought peanut in Texas, but I did.
Texas, yeah.
Yeah, so I did. And so I was like, I'm just going to brush it lightly with peanut oil. So it'll give it like a little nuttiness. You know, peanut oil has a flavor. It's pretty good flavor, right, actually.
Yeah.
And it'll help that skin as it cooks crisp a little bit. And it's not going to get crispy on the smoker, not like it would when you deep fry it. But it does have really good texture, and that oil is what helps it do that. And it also helps it brown really well. So light coat of oil on it, and then I seasoned it with some of Matt's Meat Church's Holy Gospel.
Why'd you pick Holy Gospel?
It's I wanted a Texas rub. And that was what I saw it. I saw it out in my shop. So I said, I'm using Holy Gospel today. No, it's a really good seasoning.
Yeah.
I've used it before. I think that's the one we used when we went to Matt's and did the smoker fried wings.
I think so.
And so, it's peppery.
I think it's one of his more popular ones.
Yeah, it's just a really good Texas style. When I think of Texas style rub, if I don't think salt and pepper, usually it's Matt stuff. I mean, sure there's some other great stuff in there, but that's just who I know and what I've used. And then I put a little TX on it for a little extra Texas texture. How about that?
Yeah.
Salt and pepper. Get this coarse pepper and coarse salt gives it like a little graininess on top. So it goes nice with turkey. And then that was it. Injected it. So
you injected it.
I brined it.
Do you inject?
And I injected it. And you could inject it before you. Let's season it first. Well, I don't remember what I did in the video now. It's been a week.
It was.
You remember?
Brine or inject?
Brine, obviously air dry comes out. It was.
Tyler edited it.
I think you inject.
I'm pretty sure you injected it, then you patted it down with a paper towel, and then you seasoned it.
See, that was what I was thinking. Like, you want to get that moisture off there. So if you wait and inject it after you season it, and the injection's always going to leak out, it's going to get splotchy. So you want to inject it before you season it, but inject it, get it dry, and then season it, and it'll look so much better. And you won't have those splotchy effects on it. Skin will do right. So
your injection.
I know I'm fixing to get like a ton of questions, and I saw some in the community. Why, should you brine inject? Should you just brine? Should you just inject? If I want to do something really good and have a lot of flavor, I do both. And like when I cook whole turkeys for the family or friends, and I'm serving them for dinner, this is like I'm doing both because the brine injection is awesome. If I could only do one, I would always do that. I'd always brine, but I think I fortify a little with the richness that you're not going to get that butter in the meat from a brine. You're not going to get, you get the seasonings, but the seasonings are mild in a brine. You pick up a little sweetness, a little savory saltiness, some of the, the herbs and stuff that you can put in there, but it's subtle.
I feel like it helps with the juiciness more than it does the flavor.
So that's what it does, I think, too. And the injection, to me, doesn't help with the juiciness as much, but it's a ton of flavor.
Have you ever, how Mark was talking last week about he injected the melted Kerrygold butter into the hog after it was done cooking?
Right.
Have you ever done that with a turkey?
Not after. But I put so much butter. I mean, it's chicken broth, butter, hot sauce, and
seasoning,
meat church seasoning. Yeah, that's all it is. So it's not really I think I called it like a Cajun seasoning, but I mean, I guess the hot sauce and when if I'm doing a Cajun turkey, I would, instead of using the meat church seasoning, I would put King Craw or Tony's or some other Cajun seasoning in it.
Or you could
make that Creole. It's like a Cajun butter, Creole butter. I mean, you see them. You could use one of the ones store bought. It would work too.
But you can you could replace that whatever rub that is, whatever
that is,
with whatever
you're doing for your turkey.
Yeah,
you're just trying to get it on the meat and the inside, underneath the skin, right?
Yeah,
that's right. It's going deep down in the meat.
So whatever rub you're putting on the outside, you would also.
I would say use on the inside too. Yeah. It just gives it just pairs with it nice doing it that way.
So is it wrong to just brine? Is it wrong?
No, it's not wrong at all.
It's whatever you want.
Yeah. I think, best of both worlds, do both. I mean, so how many times have y'all got turkey where you said, man, this turkey's way too oversalted. It's,
turkey has
don't even taste like turkey.
Flavor.
Yeah, turkey has too much flavor. I mean, it don't happen very often. I ain't saying you can't. You could definitely overboard it, but like with me, I know I'm going to brine it for 24 hours. I mean, and then I'm going to inject it, but I'm not putting like a ton of injection. It might hold 8 ounces. I say give it 12 in the recipe because you're not going to get all of it in there. And it's just, if I use 12 ounces, it's easier to suck it all up. If I just got 1 cup, sometimes there's not enough to draw. So usually in mine, I'm trying to put about 8 ounces in if it'll take it. But sometimes it don't take that much, depending on the size of your turkey, I just try to shoot up the breast, 3 or 4 sticks, shoot up each leg quarter, come back, hit a little in the wings, and then that's pretty much all you can do on a turkey.
So then you seasoned after injecting.
Then I seasoned it.
And then
it went on a rack and went on the pit.
The rack's the good tip. Get you a rack and cook on it.
I always cook my turkeys on a rack like that. It's easier to move them around.
Is there any drawback to cooking on the rack that you can say?
No.
Does it prevent any,
No, not at all.
Okay.
I mean, I don't even worry about the bottom side of the turkey anyway. That skin's trashed anyway. I mean, it's just sitting on it. It's going to be mushy. There's nothing you can do about it. The meat that's back there on the backbone, if I use it for anything, it's usually going in a stock.
Yeah.
Or to make a turkey broth or something like that. So I don't really worry about, and everything's draining down to it too. So it's getting, the flavor from the cavity and all that or whatever. It's not like you're going to eat it, especially if you spatchcock it. You lay it all out anyway. It's just bones and stuff. So you're not really gaining anything from seasoning or worried about the backside of that turkey like that.
But so you don't see any downfall for using the rack?
No, not at all.
Get you a rack.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I put it on the rack in the refrigerator to dry the skin too. So that makes a big difference. And I mean, you know, if you could put it just like I don't usually set my turkey straight on the cutting board. I usually do it over a pan, lined in full, something for easy cleanup, because of contamination. You got to watch what you're doing with it. So you don't want to, you know, one of your good boards or something have raw poultry on it. So that's why I like keeping it on a pan over a rack. It just helps it air dry. It helps moving it from the smoker. Even when you go to getting it off the rack, it's usually, you can spray it with the little cooking spray. Doesn't really stick to it. So it's just really, really handy.
Yeah. The ones you've cooked, they just pretty much slide right off. So then you go to smoking.
And then I put it on the pit, running at 275. I started, you know, I guess about, 45 minutes, 30 minutes before, building my bed of coals, getting my split running, bringing that smoker up to temperature. I didn't put any mesquite on the fire until I set the turkey on the pit and closed it. Then I went in, threw 2 or 3 chunks of mesquite right on the hot coals, right beside one of the splits, and let them go to smoking and giving me that smoke. And then I just wanted a light, you know, it's not super heavy or anything. Smelled fantastic, honestly. And I don't use mesquite very often, but it's a good smelling flavor in the right quantity.
Yeah.
And so I just let that boil, and I usually don't put my probe into about an hour because I don't care what temperature it is when it's cold. It's cold. It's been in the refrigerator and brine for 24 hours.
You never fail. Somebody always asks, why do you wait?
Yeah, it's just a personal thing. I'm usually checking it in an hour, and I'm not worried about it, you know, being 40 degrees for this whole, you know, time. When I stick it, it's usually about 80, 90 degrees already after
You don't
an
feel
hour.
the point too much.
Yeah, I don't see a point. Yeah, I just let it get going. You could. It wouldn't hurt. But then I put my probe in, see how things are going, you know, close it up. I didn't baste. I didn't spritz. I didn't put more oil on it, anything. I just let that turkey roll. And then I peeked at my fire. Of course, I had to add another split of post oak to keep the cold bed going. And that's when I added another couple chunks of mesquite. And I let them burn really slow the same way. And I just watched the internal temperature. So I just added the mesquite wood 2 times during this cook.
And then
and just cruised on through with the rest of the, you know, the post oak, letting it burn down slow.
So can you use mesquite if you're not using a stick burner?
Yeah, you could use it the same way. There's mesquite pellets. You could use those chunks on a drum, any kind of pit. Just I wouldn't recommend counting on the mesquite to be your BTUs, your heat for the cook. Think of it as flavoring.
It's just a little.
Yeah, you're using
addition.
it. That's right. It's an addition too. Like when we do, you know, a lot of times we're burning hickory and pecan over a coal bed, and then we'll throw in a chunk or 2 of cherry or throw in some apple or peach. It's not our primary heat source. It's what we're using for flavor. So wood's not only for heat, it's also giving you that little second punch of, you know, flavor, aroma, and all that, and the meat soaks it in. And turkey will soak up just about anything you put in it. It's a real neutral meat. Doesn't have a lot of flavor on its own. So it's going to be a sponge to that mesquite wood. And that's why you get that flavor on it. But if you'll notice when we tried this turkey, so I took it off at 160. I think it was about 2.5 hours. I believe it was a total cook, right at 2.5 hours spatchcock. Now that would have been a 3-hour bird all day long full. So I saved about 30, 35 minutes, something like that, spatchcocking it at 275. So I pulled it off. I let it rest a few minutes, and then we sliced into it, and it was so juicy.
It was probably the juiciest
tender. It had all the flavor from the injection on the inside. The brine kept it juicy. The mesquite smoke was subtle. It wasn't heavy at all. It was like it had a sweetness to it. I think the sweet tea brine played into that a little bit. The mesquite played into that sweetness because that I didn't put anything super sweet on it.
Mm-mm.
That rub is not a sweet rub. That sweetness all came from the sweet tea and the mesquite flavor.
But it worked really well.
And when I say sweet, it's not like you glazed it sweet. It just has when you taste it, it comes across as being savory, a little sweet, a little smoky, but not too smoky. And so I was like, man, that's why people think mesquite wood's good. You got to learn to cook with it.
that bird was probably had the best flavor inside.
I thought so too.
Of the birds, of
the whole bird too.
Cooked this year.
The dark meat too. The dark meat was really good.
And it was really pretty. It had that Texas style. I don't want to call it meteorite because it wasn't too dark, but it was like it had that Texas style look to it.
I think the peanut oil helps with that too, and the textured rubs.
So if you would have kept that turkey whole and wouldn't have spatchcocked it and put it on that stick burner with it catching so much air that way, would you have had to rotate it constantly, or would it have even worked?
Usually, when I do cook whole ones on a stick burner, especially outlaw or jambo like I have, I rotate them.
Okay.
And sometimes I tin them on the heat if they start getting too dark. But that's a great point to bring up. Spatchcocking makes that bird more aerodynamical. To where, and what I mean by aerodynamic,
I like aerodynamical.
You like aerodynamical. What I mean by that is, as your heat is flowing through, like a stick burner, for instance, it's wanting to catch anything in its way. And so, like, think of a brisket. If you got a brisket and you don't trim out the hump, or it's humped up, it's catching that, and that part will burn up. Same thing with your turkey. If it's too big, like it's gonna cook whatever's tallest point. It's gonna be a blocker for your airflow. It's gonna stop it. And that's what's going to get the intense heat. Well, when it's spatchcocked, it's down laying flat, you've created just this easy path for the heat and the air and the smoke to travel across it, so it cooks more even.
So now let's talk about your other turkey you did.
Which one was this one?
The one where you used the best mayo on the planet.
The blue.
Real quick, just want to give a shout out to Blue Plate.
Blue Plate Mayonnaise, proud sponsor of How to Barbecue Right and our studio.
The best mayonnaise on the planet. Give it a try. So
for all your holiday baking needs.
So you
and cooking meat.
So you did mayo as a binder on wings.
I did.
And you used ranch chipotle. They were really, really good.
They got crispy and they got really pretty color on them. And I was like, hold on, that's on to something.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Hold on, wait a minute. Something ain't right. But it was right.
Something is right.
Something is right. Yeah. I thought it worked so well on wings, I wanted to do it on turkey, and that kind of come to us sitting in here one day. Tyler was like, man, we ought to do that, and just show what it would do, because it was really, this wasn't like a recipe like that I had tried or anything. It was a total experiment.
Let's see what.
Let's see what'll happen. And I didn't know, but I squeezed Blue Plate. I brined the turkey same way. I didn't use sweet tea. I just used the water and or brine. 24 hours, didn't spatchcock it, did dry it really well, like 2 hours in the refrigerator, paper towel in the cavity, all that stuff, got all that out, and then put mayonnaise all over the skin. I even did the back of this one. You
started upside down.
Yeah, did the back side, seasoned it, flipped it over, did the whole thing again, put the mayo on it lightly. I mean, I ain't saying it's heavy.
You went Blue Plate, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Blue Plate all day. That's why I had the best flavor. I mean, well, here's my thinking is the Blue Plate. It's got the right balance of the fat for the oil.
Work?
It's got the fat from the oil. It's got salt. We all know what salt does to pork skin. It gets one to just dry it out, makes it kind of crispy. So the Blue Plate's got the right amount of salt when you taste it. It's in there. And then it also has vinegar. Vinegar helps in that way too, getting that skin right. So I think it's that combination what makes mayo work on the skin of poultry or, probably anything else. I've never put it on a pork collar, but I'm going to try it.
Oh, that'd be a good idea when you do whole shoulders.
See what the mayo does to it.
So you mayoed it and you seasoned it. What did you season it with?
AP and just a little bit of king crawl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just, getting something. Once again, this was a total experiment. So I put AP on it decent, and then I come back with a light coat of king crawl, and what you said earlier about how on a whole turkey, it's hard to get the seasonings and stuff on the side. The mayo caught it.
Yeah.
So not only does it caught it better than the oil, I guess because of the density of it.
A lot of times
the seasoning stuck when I kind of showered it on, and it's hard. You don't want to pick that turkey up, turn it, and twist it, and all that. So it's kind of tricky to get it all on the side of the breast and all the leg quarters. But when you had the mayo on there, it just kind of glued to it. So.
And it was a lot more even with the mayo.
As it cooked, you'll see like when that video gets edited and gets put out, it's beautiful color on this one.
You put it on the Traeger.
I even threw like some onions and apples and a few oranges in the cavity of this one just to do it.
Why do you put that in the cavity?
I just like to put something in there. You get some of the aromatic effect from it cooking down and releasing all the juice from it, but it also takes up some of that space in there, so it doesn't create like a void space to have to heat up cool air that's inside. So I've always thought it's good to put something in the cavity.
So put it on the Traeger. Was it the Traeger you cooked?
Yeah, I cooked it on Traeger 300. Same way I always do. Didn't twist it.
You didn't.
I was just
touch
watching
it till it hit 160, right?
I attempted after about an hour. I peeked at it, put my probe in, and I was like, "Whoa, this thing's beautiful."
It was pretty.
I was highly impressed. Like, it looked better than the peanut oil one on the skin, and it had it was getting it taut, and it was getting it a little on the crispy side. Now, it's not going to be. Once again, you're never going to get crispy skin on a grill like that. But you can get close, and that was the MAYO way is the closest I've been. Closer than oil, closer than butter.
You might have
I
started.
think it's just the blue plate that does it. No, I promise y'all, you got to try it.
At the very least, try the wings.
Yeah.
Now I wanted you to do a whole chicken.
I'm gonna hit blue plate on the outside of my turkey breast for Thanksgiving and season them just because I like the way it made the rub look even, and I'm hoping it browns them up the same way.
Yeah.
I usually pull the skin off those, but I'm gonna try it.
You could pull one skin and leave one on.
And see what it does, yeah.
You also did a honey baked ham, better than a honey baked ham. That was already come out.
That one, I did that recipe
a while ago,
years ago on YouTube.
People still email and ask about that recipe too.
It's so good, man. Why would you buy? So was it Tyler? Was it me and you looked up how much honey baked ham was?
Yep.
And it was like $100 or more plus shipping. Right?
It was like 135. Yeah.
Yeah. It was high. Man, you can go buy that ham. Just get you a spiral ham at Kroger or Walmart, wherever you get your hams. They're like $2. Well, they might be $2.99 a pound this year. So $24, right in that range, you got you a whole ham. And then all it is, it's fully cooked. It's fully cooked when you get it. You're just warming it up on a smoker. So you don't put anything on it, take it out of the package, put it on the pit, run it about 250 degrees, and then with the little seasoning pack that comes with the glaze pack, throw that away, and then mix up your own. And I use a little brown. I want to make a glue first, or like a paste. And I usually use about half a cup of brown sugar, a little bit of honey maybe, and then some juice, like a couple tablespoons of juice.
And this one you use maple syrup.
Yeah, you could use maple syrup.
Honey would.
Yeah.
Shout out to
it
us.
would work.
Yeah.
You mix that up.
Yeah, that was special Vermont maple.
Oh, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, maple syrup.
Yeah, and I just stir that up, and that's my glue. So right after about 2.5 hours, that ham's coming up to temp. It's almost ready. And I baste all that on the outside with a baster brush. Just brush it on, and then I put sugar in the raw or turbinado sugar in a dread shaker and shake that all over that ham to give it that sugary texture. And what they do at Honey Bake is they put sugar all over it, and they use a torch, and they kind of melt it, caramelize it that way. Well, I throw it back on the smoker, crank the temp up just a little bit, 275, 300, and let it really melt that sugar in the next 15, 20 minutes. And you'll see it start, I probably didn't show that. I kept it all 250 probably. It really don't matter. You're going to let it melt.
Can you mess up a ham?
Yeah, you dry it out. Keep on smoking it.
Keep
Yeah.
going too far. Can
Because
you
you don't-
undercook it?
No, you can't. That's what I'm saying. It's a 3-hour deal. So 2.5 hours, put your glaze on there and glaze it. And then if you raise the temperature up, it'll glaze fast. It could take the whole 30 minutes if you leave it at 250, which is, but just know that watch your sugars because you can burn those sugars. That's how you're going to mess it up. If you go too far, once you glaze it.
And then it's super easy to carve up.
Oh, it's already cut. All you do is flip it on its side, kind of ring around the bone, and then you'll see the seam where the pizzas want to fall. Just follow that seam, and it all just falls off, and you come back and get the rest of it. And then the bone, whatever's left on the bone, you can save that for beans or ham soup or whatever you want. It's really good.
Ham soup.
Ham bone soup. You never had ham bone soup?
I don't know. Well, your mom always has something with ham bone.
Everything is ham bone. Everything's got a ham bone out.
And it's always really good, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's beans, sometimes it's soup.
Greens.
It all kind of looks the same.
Potatoes. Doesn't matter. It's going to have a ham bone in it.
So I've got a bunch of turkey cooking questions that I'm gonna get to. But real quick, I wanted to talk about the videos that You filmed yesterday, but they haven't been released.
They were Thanksgiving driven.
Yeah. Gravy,
TikToks.
cranberry.
Easy, like it's kind of my cheat code gravy. Like if you don't want to make real gravy, you make this. It's super easy.
Okay, so how do you make real gravy? You make your own roux with like
you like flour,
flour,
oil, cook that down. Add your turkey or chicken stock that you boiled down from a carcass or something with vegetables and all that. Kind of bring that together, let it thicken up, and then season it a little bit. And that's about it. I like to do it. You want me to go ahead and talk about it?
Sure.
I like to just use a cheat and grab a can of cream of chicken soup, Campbell's cream of chicken soup. That's my roux base. That's all it is a roux.
Yeah.
You can make your own cream of chicken soup if you wanted to, but just grab a can, put it in a pot.
Just make sure you get Campbell's. That's the one thing you gotta buy.
Store brand cream of chickens.
It doesn't have the same flavor.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
It's one store.
It's like the beef consomme that we use when we cook briskets. It's got to be Campbell's.
Anyway.
Nothing better, but that's what I use. And so I fill up 1 can of chicken broth or chicken stock if you got it. Pour that in there, kind of whisk it together, stir it up, make sure your roux kind of combined.
Get all the lumps out.
And then to fortify those flavors, to make it more like a Thanksgiving gravy, which when I think of Thanksgiving gravy, it's the giblet gravy, but we never use actually true giblets because my mom wasn't a fan of them. She always used either a turkey breast or a chicken breast, or she might put some dark meat, but mainly it was breast meat, and it would just give it some flavor. So you could use the giblets out of a turkey if you want to.
How would
chop
you
them up, saute them, cook them?
So you would cook them?
Yeah, you cook them before you put it in the gravy. I've done it. I mean, they're okay.
Yeah.
But I prefer just putting dark meat or white meat in there. A little bit of shredded. It's just to give it some different flavor and some different texture to the gravy.
And
also,
you leave it pretty. I mean,
it's a chunk.
It's a chunk. Yeah.
It goes good on if you're putting it over your dressing or your mashed potatoes or your turkey or whatever.
Now you also put
pimento peppers, and I put boiled egg that I sliced in it.
And you leave that pretty chunky too.
And pretty chunky too. This is the thing. This is how we do it. And then I season it with AP. And I'm telling you, it's good gravy.
It's really good gravy.
People would think that you worked 1.5 hours on that gravy, and it takes like 3 minutes tops. As long as you got your egg, you're always gonna have some. You're making deviled eggs, so it's just save a deviled egg for your gravy. You're making chicken or turkey and dressing, save a little bit of that meat that you put in the dressing for the gravy. Then you're keeping all those flavors going for your Thanksgiving meal.
I've never heard of the egg before. That's crazy.
Really?
I know. That's what I told him. Not a lot of people add a boiled egg.
Or pimentos, probably.
Or pimento.
Yeah.
You can thank Donna Reed for that. She's the genius. I don't know where she got that from, but it's good.
I even said, you want me to, because when I add a boiled egg to things, I grate it.
Well, if we weren't going to do that, we just make packet gravy. Like, here's the packet, add water. All right, we got gravy. No, you got to have all that other stuff in there. That's what makes it.
But I like to grate an egg because I feel like it's consistent, all the same.
Yeah. Well, I don't want just egginess.
It's
the visual appearance of having this gravy that you ladle out on top of the dressing that's got the little slice of egg and the chunk of chicken in it.
I want it to just all dissolve.
You want it to all dissolve? It just be one smooth gravy? No, it's not like that.
Your gravy is really good, though.
You would think it was a gravy you worked really hard on.
It does. It tastes like it's way better than
it's
just
a gourmet daggum gravy.
It's a gourmet gravy. Cranberry sauce is pretty gourmet, too.
Now, I did that recipe, too. Don't use the cranberry in a can. We always, I don't know, who is it in my family? Is it Waylon or his wife or somebody only wants the canned cranberry sauce? I'm like, I hate that stuff. It's like cranberry jelly. It goes when you slide it out of the can. It's just horrible. And so
Michael likes it.
Yeah, Michael likes it. I don't mess with it. I don't even really like cranberry sauce on my dressing like that.
Yeah.
But we started making homemade cranberry sauce, and it is actually really good.
And it's so easy.
It's 4 things. It's a bag of cranberries, some orange juice, some real cranberry juice, not like cranberry cocktail, and then honey. That's all that's in it. You take, I don't know, it's about 2 ounces of each of the orange and cranberry juices and 3/4 cup of honey. Put that in a little pot over about medium-high heat. You bring it to a boil, reduce it down to simmer, and you cook it for 5 minutes.
My theory is that it's
concentrating
those sugars.
It's concentrating those sugars, reducing some of the moisture. Then you throw in your cranberries, and you gently stir them a little bit, and you just let them sit there. The whole thing takes maybe 20 minutes because once you put those cranberries in, you're about on a 15-minute clock before they're going to start busting as they cook, And as they bust, they release this pectin, and that's what makes your cranberry sauce thicken. And you don't want to go too far; it'll just be so thick you can't hardly.
I think it'll break
cut it.
eventually.
Yeah. But you just want to start enough till you can start telling it starts coming together, and you just fold it every once in a while. And usually you can taste it at the end. Take it up, taste it, see if it's sweet enough. If it's not sweet enough, add you a little more honey. If you wanted to add something else, you could probably jazz it up a little bit with like some lemon zest or orange zest or something like
whatever.
that. Yeah, but it's so much. And you put it in the refrigerator. You can do it a day before too. Just let it sit overnight.
You could do it a couple days before.
But it has such a better flavor than the jelly stuff.
It has a real. It tastes real.
Oh yeah, now, I did use the jelly stuff in a recipe.
Okay,
because I bought the can of it to it's kind of like, don't serve this. Make this easy cranberry sauce. It's so much better. That was the premise of that video.
Yeah.
But the next one was, what are we going to do with all these leftovers, Tyler? And so what better thing do we do? Will it slide? So we made sliders with it. And we used, everybody's got some rolls left over at Thanksgiving.
Heck yeah, that's
There's
my
usually,
favorite leftover.
pack of King's buttery savory rolls. Cut those in half.
You didn't use the King's Hawaiian. You used the King's brand.
Savory butter.
Savory butter.
Yeah, they're good.
Those are so good.
Yeah. And they're good for Thanksgiving. So you can start warm those up and serve for Thanksgiving. You have leftovers and make these sliders. So I took some leftover turkey because I got a refrigerator full of it. So first I put, cut the rolls in half, lay them on like a sheet pan with some aluminum foil, enough foil to wrap the whole thing up too. That's key. Put out some slices of American white cheese. And then I started putting my turkey on there. And then I took some of my dressing that we had left over, put some of that on there and just kind of spread it around. Then I took that can of Ocean Spray cranberry jelly.
I feel like that worked really well.
Sliced it, laid it on top.
I don't know if the homemade cranberry stuff
would be as good.
As good.
The jelly worked there because it didn't really melt.
Yeah, and it's real sweet.
Yeah.
It brings that element to it.
And then I laid another layer of cheese over that, put the top bun on, half a stick of butter, melted all over the top, wrapped it up. 30 minutes in the oven, 15 minutes uncovered, like unwrap it and let it sit there to where it'll brown up. Tyler, I'm telling you, you missed those yesterday. Because that was like, that's how you tune up some leftovers right there, my friends.
Did you dip it in the gravy?
No, I didn't dip it. It didn't need it, man. It did not need it dipping in the gravy. Yeah. It was moist. I guess the dressing, it has the moisture to it. The cranberry sauce has some moisture to it. The cheese went with it. It just kind of made it creamy, not cheesy.
Yeah, I agree. And, we had a whole conversation about, does turkey dressing and cranberry need cheese? The answer is yes.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
We found out.
The answer is yes. Man, it was really good. That's a good idea. I wonder if anybody's ever you make your dressing and top it with cheese. It'd be like dressing casserole.
I'll try it.
Try it. How could it be bad? I was doubtful on the cheese. That was the one element on this one. I was like, I don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah. Pick up there. I was doubtful.
That was one thing that I was doubtful of on that recipe when we first started talking about it was, is the cheese going to go with everything?
Yeah.
But I think it just, you needed it. It was so good.
Kind of glued it all.
It was the glue. You didn't need mayo on that one. That wasn't one where, Blue Plate probably wouldn't help that recipe. I don't know. You probably spread it over the top and act like you're melting butter.
It would work the same way.
It would work the same way.
It'd brown you up.
I brown quesadillas with Blue Plate all the time. It does really good to make a quesadilla crispy in a skillet or on a flat top. But those don't throw out your dressing in your turkey. I promise y'all. Try that. Try that little slider.
I think it would make a good little breakfast or something too. Brunch especially.
Oh, I'd make them, take them to the deer stand.
Yeah.
Cook them, wrap them up in foil, and set them on my little buddy heater in the blind. Warm right back up.
All right. So I got some turkey cooking questions. So people in the community submitted questions. And we are, that's what we're here for. Turkey hotline.
I don't think we're doing a podcast before Thanksgiving, so this is going to be it.
This is it. Okay. It's time. We're a week away.
It is. It's 1 week.
I got to go get groceries sometime this weekend because I don't want to try to fight it next week.
Y'all better get them.
So, brining or not brining? Store-bought froze turkeys versus fresh.
So, here I know where these questions are coming from. For one, I don't know where you get a fresh turkey. Like, that's one there's a shortage of.
Kevin at the butcher shop.
Does he get fresh ones?
I've seen him advertising.
Okay. Well, maybe Kevin's got some.
I doubt he has them now because he was saying you got to pre-order them.
Yeah.
And you pick them up like this weekend or something.
I get that. Well, you don't see many
try.
fresh ones. There used to be, like back in the day, I saw grocery stores would have an option. Maybe Costco or some higher end places would have a fresh. I still bet they were. I bet they were froze at one point.
Yeah, they just
weren't. Yeah,
thawed
they
it
might
for
have
you.
thawed there for you. But I'm always brining. I don't care. And maybe that's what it means: enhance versus not enhance.
Yeah.
Instead of fresh versus froze, because I don't care. They do add water and some salt solution to it, but it's not enough to say it's brined or got any flavor. And I would challenge you to cook one of those. Don't put anything on it. Just cook one of those and then cook one that you brine and see which one you think's better. You know.
And that's like the number one question people ask.
Yeah, I always brine.
Should I still brine? Yes.
I always brine. If you got the time, do the brine.
No more questions.
No more questions. Now, the question is, do you want to inject it too? And I think if you want to put a bump of flavor in there, you want to add butter to it, anything like that, that's a great place to do it. You don't have to add extra salt don't think it's got to be salty for the injection, because you got a pretty good little salt element in the brine, the sugar. You're just using other flavors. Now, I always add a little seasoning to my injection.
You always add hot sauce.
But it's not, I like hot sauce. Hot sauce isn't salty.
Yeah, but
The
it
butter,
brings a vinegar element and
I like that.
heat
I like
element.
that to it.
But you use a mild hot sauce.
Yeah, I'm not using something super hot.
Yeah.
I just think you can get different flavors in there with the injection that you're not necessarily getting from the brine. I'm pro brine all the way, and pro injection.
Whatever your turkey may be.
Yep.
So one thing that you've turned a lot of people on to is those jumbo turkey breasts from the butcher shop.
Yes.
Pretty much everybody that you've told about that has quit cooking whole turkees. And
has
started
anybody
switching
cooked
those.
one and said, "Man, these suck"? Do you think so? I've never heard anybody say that about those turkey breasts.
But I've had,
Now they're expensive. They're not cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know. 14. I imagine they're.
I took a
I
picture.
don't know, $7 a pound, something like that. They weigh about 8-10 pounds.
What's
Well,
a
that's two
turkey?
of them though. You get two of them for about 10 pounds, so they're about $35 a breast, maybe something like that. I don't know. Don't quote me on prices. I'm not good with the math, but it's something like that. $7 a pound, $7.99.
I think it's like somewhere between 55 to 60, something like that.
Yeah. Did you order some?
No. That
Oh.
just did the math. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
7
it's
times
something
eight.
like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that ain't the important. The important parts are delicious.
I've heard you have more conversation with people saying, "Man, I cooked that turkey breast. That's so good." So what's the cook time on something like that?
Well, I would say you want to give yourself 2.5
Do you
hours.
brine that?
I usually don't. I mean, you can. There ain't nothing to get. You could brine it. You could marinate it. I mean, you could inject it. I usually inject them. That's all I do to those. You could brine them. I wouldn't do it like 24 hours. If I was going to brine those, it'd be like, let's just do 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because it's like, think about how you'd brine a pork loin. You wouldn't leave it in there overnight because you don't want to cure it. That's what I'd be afraid it would eventually do if you had it,
Just
too
the
long.
breast like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I would do 4 or 5 hours if you wanted to brine it, or just inject it to get some flavor in it. They're juicy. I mean, I'm telling you, they're super juicy. I pull the skin off mine. It comes with a piece of skin on it. It's thick, and it looks like somebody took the wild turkeys, a turkey
Yeah.
out of their yard. It don't look like supermarket turkey skin. This is an all natural, big, voluptuous turkey. So I pull that skin off and then usually just season it up and get it on the pit. I like to, once I get pretty good texture on the outside, once the rub sticks and you can't rub it off with your finger or whatever.
Was
I
it
usually-
take an hour?
Yeah,
45
hour and a
minutes?
half, something like
Okay.
that. So you're,
Hour and a half.
somewhere right in that. I just kind of check on it and then I wrap it up with some butter and full and put a probe in it. And at that point, I just cook it till, 160.
What do you think it typically takes? I know everyone's
I mean,
different.
I'm giving myself 2.5 hours.
2.5
Yeah.
hours. And then you got a dry cooler to drop it into?
You can. It only needs a rest before you cook it. I mean, if you're going to do that, let the heat off of it. Don't try to hold it for hours. But it's going to keep cooking, You got to let the heat off of it if you're going to hold it. You just want to open it up, quit steaming, wrap it back up, stick it in a warm cooler, and it'll be fine. But I recommend, 15, 20-minute rest at minimum, just before you slice it. Let those juices stop. Let them come back in that meat. Because, this has been cut off the bone. So you got to think, anytime you're cutting off the bone, it kind of messes up the proteins a little bit, so you could lose more moisture because it's off I think the bone holds in moisture, when you're cooking larger cuts, so that you're going to lose some because it's cut off the bone. But it'll still stay really juicy if you give it a rest. I've never had a problem with one of those being dry.
But what if you get it done an hour and a half before it's time to serve?
Just let the vent steam it. Let steam off of it. Wrap it back up with foil. Keep the butter, the juices all in there. Stick it down in a dry cooler, and just leave it. It'll be fine. I wouldn't leave it like 6 hours.
Yeah.
But a couple hours is going to be perfectly fine. It'll still be nice and warm.
It'll be really good.
It'll be really good. Yeah.
So let's say you've got to cook your turkey the day before or 2 days before.
Okay.
What's the best way to reheat that turkey?
So I'm going to leave it whole. I'm not going to cut it up. And I'm going to, usually what I would do is I'll drop them down in an aluminum pan, cover it with foil, or you put plastic wrap on it if you wanted to, cover it with foil. Now, your skin's not going to be that great after doing this because you're going to cool it and it's going to, kind of get soggy on you. But you got to reheat it till it's back to like 140 degrees. So what I do is make sure before I stick it in the oven, and you could do this in the oven or on the pit, you want it about 275, 300 degrees, and just make sure there's a little liquid in there. Like if there's none in the pan from where the turkey cooled down, add a little bit of chicken broth. You could add a little bit of butter if you wanted to, and just put it in there and put a probe back in it and warm it up. It's going to take probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours at 300. You want to do it slow. You don't want to pop it in a 350-degree oven. You're going to dry it out. But do it slow and just let it warm up. That's the best way to do it. And then when you take it out, it'll be ready to slice up, and you can break it down that way.
Okay, I got a scenario for you. You're serving lunch and you're serving dinner.
Okay, same day.
Same day.
That's happening. I'm doing that.
You got a turkey breast, and you want to have turkey breast for lunch and turkey breast for dinner. Do you cook them all at the same time? Hold some in a sous vide? Do you reheat in the sous vide?
To make it easier on myself, I saw this question on the community. Yeah. I would cook them all at the same time. And I'd probably cook them that morning because it's turkey breast. It's a pretty fast cook. You can get up, put the parade on, cook, chill out.
Parade.
Cook all of them and then hold the others. And I wouldn't get in a big hurry about putting it in the sous vide and leaving it in there all day. I would probably just wrap it up, let it calm down. Or you could go, if you wanted to, once you let the steam off of it, you could go ahead and get it in your sous vide bag. I wouldn't seal it up till it gets really cool, but I would just kind of hold it. And for, an hour or two, then I'd probably seal it up. And then when I wanted to serve it, that's a great time. If you have the sous vide option, you could even slice it and then do that, and then heat it in the sous vide to where it's coming back and keep some of that juice in there to where it's going to be super juicy. And when it comes out of the sous vide, all you got to do is open it up and slide it out on your serving platter. That's a great option. That's what I would do. Now, could you do that with both dinners and not even cook that morning? Absolutely. You could do,
I would say, about doing that anyway.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. I can cook mine ahead of time, just warm it up in sous vide that morning. So all I got to do is cook a ham, Thanksgiving morning. So, but I would say you have in refrigeration 3 to 4 days for that turkey breast to be optimal. They're probably, really, it's probably a week, but I wouldn't go that far to serve it for, Thanksgiving dinner. But, it's just say if you cooked it a few days earlier, what I do is let it cool really good, wrap it up in plastic wrap, wrap it up in foil, hold it in the refrigerator, bring it out, get it ready to sous vide, and it's not going to take it that long in the sous vide to warm up. I'd set it on 140 and just let that dude go for, about an hour or so. That's all it's going to take. You just want to make sure the core gets back up to that 140 degrees, and then it's ready to serve.
The idea of reheating it in the bag with its juices where it can't escape and stuff, like in a sous vide or whatever. I haven't
done this, but I see absolutely no. If I was going to do it, that's how I'd do it, and I see no reason why it wouldn't be good. And it's got me thinking, man, that's a great way to do it, honestly.
We're going to experiment. We'll let you know.
That's right. I'm going to experiment with that one. It's a great question, though. And the sous vide's an awesome tool for reheating. I'm big at reheating pulled pork, in hot water. Well, the sous vide's the way to go with that.
Where did we go where we were doing it with baked beans? We were sous videing baked beans somewhere where we had to take it. I think it was at Royal Oak last year.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. We did steaks too.
We've done steaks.
All my sauces. Mark's got it down to cooking cheesecakes in the bath. I think that ain't crazy. Individual cheesecakes in a jar in a sous vide.
It kind of makes sense.
It does. It's a perfect environment. It's the right temperature to cook that eggs and cheese.
Because the cheesecakes, the biggest issue with it is temperature change. Drastic temperature changes. Okay, so should you spatchcock the turkey before or after brining? That's a good
question because I always do it after.
Does it matter?
I don't think it really matters. It would help you in size of your container, but I love using the meat bags.
Yeah.
In the bucket. They're just made to hold big turkeys. And so I've always do them whole. I mean, there's nothing wrong with go ahead and doing it. I can't think of anything, the reason why you wouldn't, but I think a whole one's going to get just as brine as one spatchcock. You're not saving yourself anything other than size. If you spatchcock it, you could probably put it in a shorter container, lay it out flat with a top, add your water, stick it in the fridge on a shelf easier than the big bucket. But
so what are your Thanksgiving plans?
Definitely doing ham. Definitely cooking Kevin's butcher shop turkey breast. My mom's doing the dressing, the rolls. She'll do her gravy.
Which is very similar to your gravy.
Oh, yeah. That's where I got it from. Yeah. I didn't come up with that. That's from years of watching my mom make it. You're doing sweet potatoes.
Sweet potato casserole and cranberry.
And cranberry sauce. The same cranberry sauce I did on the recipe.
Yep.
I'm sure Waylon's wife's doing deviled eggs and desserts. My mom will have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, your mom will have all kinds of stuff.
And then we're going to watch the Egg Bowl at camp. So my Thanksgiving is going to be awesome. That's the question. You think Ole Miss is going to stomp a hole in Mississippi State?
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
That's coming from a Bulldog. You don't feel good about it, huh?
Not very enthused about this year's.
Too optimistic.
Tyler, what's your plans for Thanksgiving?
Man, we're going down to Ocean Springs, Mississippi.
That sounds fun.
Thanksgiving at the Gulf.
Seafood?
Yeah, I hope
have some oyster dressing down there.
No, we're doing all the normal stuff that her family does. Like I do a couple things that's kind of my family staples. Like I love deviled eggs at Thanksgiving. I think they belong there. A lot of people for some reason don't think that, but
what?
Yeah, it's like a thing. Like it's an Easter thing. Like you don't make deviled eggs on Thanksgiving. I don't know if it's. I don't know. It's weird.
To me, it's just a side.
We don't
It's just a staple.
Yeah, like I gotta have. Like
I would say I don't eat deviled eggs at Easter. I eat them at Thanksgiving.
They think they're weird.
You eat them whenever they're there.
Whenever they're there. It's just a delicious side.
Gotta have my can of Ocean Spray.
Do you eat it?
Would you try the cranberry?
Yeah, my wife did it last year. It was pretty good. It's just like for me.
You want
it's
that
like,
Jell-O?
You like the jelly?
It's just like not worth the hassle to me. Like I didn't think it was that life-changing different.
4 things.
And it's like $1 a can, and like I don't know. It's just like maybe I just grew up with it, and
Yeah,
that's what we've had. That's
nostalgic
what I
to
grew up.
you.
I mean, we had the little tray that the jelly thing went in, and you had to cut it and it kind of fan it. That's all it is. It's cranberry jelly.
We were
It's
talking.
the only time of year that people eat that too. What do you think they do the rest of the year?
They just
Like,
stockpile.
The rest of the year is just a mixer. Like they sell cranberry juice to mix with vodka, and then they wait on Thanksgiving. They're sitting there, got to make all our money this month.
well, that's like cranberry everything. Like the cranberry stock must be crazy during this time of year because they do like cranberry spray. I'm sure they sell tons of cranberry juice. So
Cranberry Sprite's pretty fire.
oh, it's so
I
good.
like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be a great time.
No podcast next week.
No podcast
We'll be
next
off for
week.
Thanksgiving.
Christmas will be in how many days? 30-something days.
I asked Alexa the other day. She told me it was like 39, 38,
Wasn't
something
many.
like that.
It wasn't many, but I'm looking forward to it.
Are you looking forward to next week? When I was
Heck
asking you
yeah.
about your Thanksgiving plans, I didn't want you to tell me what you're cooking.
Oh,
What are your plans?
you don't want to know my plan. I'm going to camp. I'm going to deer camp.
I don't get to ask questions about that.
What happens at deer camp stays at deer camp. Lots of cold beverages and brown whiskeys, I'm sure.
Well, I hope you have a good week.
I hope you have a good one too.
I'll see you Thanksgiving.
See you Thanksgiving. Oh, man.
That's all I got today.
That's all we got today. We're wrapping this one up a little early then because it is Thanksgiving. I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving out there. Shell, where can everybody find us?
If you'd like to connect with Malcom, it's HowToBBQRight on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and, of course, YouTube. If you'd like to connect with me, it's Miss Southern Shell on Instagram.
Tyler, tell them about the community and all that good stuff.
And all of these wonderful questions were brought to you by the Let's Get to Cookin Community page. A lot of times we're looking for questions on there to ask on every single podcast. So just look up Let's Get to Cookin on Facebook and join our group. And make sure you guys check out all of Malcolm's favorite recipes on HowToBBQRight.com. And you can also download the app on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
Man, you got that down to almost scripted.
I tried.
Well, once again, hope everybody has a great holiday. Cook y'all some turkeys and hams this weekend. If you get to looking for something,
Get those turkeys
out the box and make that leftover Thanksgiving sliders. I promise you. That recipe, I don't know when it'll be out. It'll probably be later next week, so you'll have to just imagine.
Imagine it in your head until next week.
Picture it.
We'll see y'all after Thanksgiving. We're gone.